Welcome to the class 5 of Python crash course. In the last class we studied pip modules and libraries, and I told you how to install libraries. For telling you, you can contact me on my social medias to learn Python programming. The links are in the description. The next thing we studied some more things about strings, and the third topic was about taking user input in Python. And I created 3 programs which helped us understand how to take input from the user, and I also gave you a small assignment on the program 3 that create a BMI calculator by taking height in centimeters. So all you had to do was divide the height squared and by 100. So now in today's class we'll be studying lists and list methods. So what are lists? A list is a data structure in Python that is a mutable or changeable, ordered sequence of elements. Each element or value that is inside of a list is called an item. Just as strings are defined as characters between two quotes, lists are defined by having values between square brackets. Lists are really important and they are widely used. They are heterogeneous collection as they can accumulate different type of data types. So let's create our first list. Copy and paste here. So if you see here, I've created a heterogeneous list which have a different type of data types. We have integer, a string, a float, boolean, another list, a dictionary, a dictionary, NaN type, and a complex number. Okay, the thing which is important here is that lists are mutable and can be changed, unlike strings. For example, if I have a string, let me rename our heterogeneous list to simply list1. So we have a list and let's create a string. So I have a string1 that is equal to my string. Now if I take my list and select a value from it, let's take 2. So as I mentioned in the previous class, the indexing starts by taking first element and giving it a number 0. The second one will be 1, third one will be 2. So in our day-to-day life we start counting from 1, but in Python we start from 0 and go up in the ascending order. So if I take my list and change its first item to a different one, I will be able to do so. But in case of strings, I cannot do that. Let's print, and as you can see, it's 2 here instead of 1 which was earlier. But I cannot do this with my string. So if I take string1, first of all let me print its value. It says m because my my and the m is the first item. And if I try to change it, I cannot do that. Let's change it to n, make it ni instead of my. And if I print it, you see it's giving me an error. Expression cannot contain assignment. Perhaps you mean double equal. So this shows that I cannot change an item in my string, but I can do that in my list. So this shows that lists are mutable, mean they can be changed, their items can be changed. Further, I can access a single item from my list. So if I want to access last item from my list, I'll simply type print the name of my list and enter -1. This will give us the last item of my list, that is 3 plus 4j. That's a complex number. In this way, I can access any other item. Let's say I want to access true, which is a boolean item. I'll have to type 3. Why? 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, because 3 is its location is 3. Print list1 location 3, and it's giving us the boolean expression that is true. And even if I try to check its type, it will give us its type. Now if you see, it will give us the type of this list item. It says class boolean. So these are the two things which we learned today, that lists are mutable, mean that you can change the item of the list, and indexing, that in order to access the items of a list, you will start from 0 and enter the number of the item you want to access. Now next thing are the methods in lists. List methods. So I mentioned that lists are very important because they are widely used. So I have this list called the list1, which I will copy, comment out, and then paste here. Then I'll use this method that's called append. So I'll type list1 dot and append. What append does that it allows us to add new items into the list. So if I add new item and then print my, it will do so and print the item. And here as you see at the end there is a new item, a string. In this way I can add a integer as well. So if I type 8 then run, here you can see there is an integer called 8. Similarly I can add a complex number, a boolean class, or a dictionary as well. Okay, the next method that we have, that is called, there is another thing that I would like to mention, that is you can add another list within a list. So I have list1 dot append, and here I can add another list. For example, I can add a string such as new, then I can add an integer, let's name it 286, and then a boolean such as false. So now if I run my program, you will see a new been added, that is, you can see that there is a new list within a list. First item is a string, second item is an integer, and the third one is boolean class. Now I can also access this by typing a list using these brackets and writing the index number of my newly added list. What's that? Let's count it. 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8. So I'll type 8, and what I want to access next. So I want to access this integer number, that is 286. So I will add 1, because 0 will be for the string that's new, and 1 will be assigned to this integer that's on the second number if we are counting in our day-to-day life. Now if I print this, print list1, you will see we'll see on the screen the integer that we are trying to access, that is this. So it first access this list, then it went to within this list and access this number. So here you can see 286. So this is another use of the append method. Let me comment this out. Now let's move on to the next, that is count. By using count I can count an integer within a number. So let's see if we have 1, and if I print this value, and you will see that 1 has only appeared once in my whole string, and it will show us 1. Oh, so it has occurred twice, where 1 is here and 1 is here as well. So if I add more 1 into this, then surely our print will change. So if I check now, we'll see the 1 has appeared 6 times. So this is how we can use count method to count a specific item, the occurrence of specific item into our list. Okay, now let's move on to the next method, that is extend. Now extend allows us to add, it takes 2 arguments and allows us to extend our list. List1 dot extend. Then if I write this and type new inside, then this new will be added iteratively, mean that each character of my string will be added separately. Run. Oops, an error, it was supposed to be extend. Okay, and then I print it. You will see that each item is added iteratively, N, E, and W. And I should remove this, and then if I run the program, you see that each item is added iteratively. In this way the extend item works. Let's talk about the pop method. So what pop method does is that it removes the last item from your list. As you can see, we have none as our last item now, but previously it was a complex number. Now let's talk about the next method, that is the insert. List1 dot insert. And what this does, it takes 2 arguments. So first one will be the position where I want to add the new item, and second one will be the item. It can be a string, an integer, or a boolean. Now let's move on to the next method, that is remove. So similarly, we will use list.remove, and inside the parentheses, we will place the item that we want to remove. So if we want to remove this dictionary, what I will do, I will copy this and paste it inside and then run it. And here you can see the dictionary which I pasted has been removed. Now now we have sum, length, and max. So let's talk about the length first. What length does, it counts all the elements of our list and prints the number. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total elements in our list. So it printed their number. And the next is sum. So it gave us error. Why? Because in order to use sum, all the elements of our list should be homogeneous. Mean if we have integers, then it is going to sum that. But in case of our list, it's a heterogeneous list. We have dictionaries, a complex number, boolean, none, and integers. But now if I have created a new list and then look at sum, and we have a total sum that is equal to 28. Now we're going to use max. What max does is that it gives us the maximum number that is present in our list. So here you can see the 6 is the maximum number. So in this way, we can use multiple methods in lists, and here are more methods which you should try on your own and see what they do. We have clause, clear, copy, append, and lots of more. You can also use this AI chatbot to answer your queries if you have any. Okay, the next concept is tuples. Tuples and tuple methods. A tuple looks just like a list, except you use parentheses instead of square brackets. Once you define a tuple, you can access individual elements by using each item's index, just as you would for a list. But the main thing is that tuples are immutable. So let's create a tuple. Tuple 1 is equal to parenthesis and 4.23, 5, 6.45, 7, 8.65. So this is a tuple right here. But you cannot change a tuple just like we can change a list. So if I access tuple 1, tuple, let's see, I want to access this 6.45. So from the index, this is 0, 1, and 2, number 2, right? And if I print it, you will see it will show us 6.45. Here you can see. Now if I change this value to something, let's see, I want to change it to 9. But it will give us the error. Why? Because tuple object does not support item assignment. So this shows that the tuple is immutable. Now let's try some method. So if I type tuple 1 dot count parenthesis, and if I say that how many times the 7 has occurred, then it will show us that only once the 7 has occurred. So if I print this statement, the answer should be 1, and here it says 1. Now let's change it a little bit. If I add 7 one more time and then I run my program, it's saying 2. Now if I add another 7, it says 3. Now if I add another, and in this way I can keep on increasing, and this method counts the presence of a certain integer. Now I showed you the indexing. Indexing is like accessing an element of the tuple. So if I want to access the 8.65, I'll have to just count 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I type here 4, it will print us 8.45. Print position 4 of the tuple, and it will give us 8.65. The next thing is the slicing. So I can just extract a certain amount of the tuple items. So if I type tuple and I start from third position, that will be 2, and I go to the, let's say, fifth position, then we will have from 6.45 to 7, right? Yes, it should be like this. So I didn't print it, so I write print. I didn't type tuple 1. So print tuple 1 2 to 5 is giving us from 6.45 to 7 and then 8.65. So in this way you can slice a tuple. I can also check the length of my tuple by typing tuple 1 and then print it. This is going to be small case and then print it. Then the length, we have 8 items in my tuple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8 items in my tuple, and this is how you can use the length. In this way I can also concatenate my tuple. So I have this tuple and I add tuple, I created tuple 2 and parentheses, and if I just write odd numbers 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. Now, if I type print tuple 1 plus tuple 2, then I'll be able to concatenate tuple 1 and tuple 2. In this way, I can also multiply my tuple. So if I type tuple 1 static 4 and then print this statement, you will be able to multiply a tuple print. And here you can see that it has not changed the value. For example, it did not change the value, but instead it created 4 different tuples within a tuple. So from 4.23 to 7 once, then again 4.23 to 7 twice, thrice, and in this way tetra 4 times. And you can also check the membership. So if I type that print is 7 in tuple 1, it should say true because 7 is available in this tuple and it says true. But what if I type something like I am checking 56 in tuple 1, and it should say false. So in this way you can check the tuple. So the main thing you need to remember about the tuples is that you use parentheses, and secondly the tuples are immutable. And here are some methods. You can check the method by yourself by typing tuple dot, and here are the 2 methods, and there are something more which you can check and test and ask the questions to this AI chatbot here by asking whatever the problem you encounter. Make sure to follow the socials, and if you want to learn the programming from me, just message me on my social medias and I'll teach you. And here is what we learned today. So in today's class we studied list and list methods. I told you the definition that it uses the square brackets to initialize a list. Then I showed you some methods of the list and asked you to try some on your own using the AI chatbot that I told you how to install. You can use any chatbot available on the internet: ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Copilot, Cloud, Grok, whatever you feel comfortable with. And the secondly, I told you about the tuples, the definition of tuples, that you need parentheses, and the second important thing that tuple are immutables. Then I also showed you some methods of the tuple. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next class.